and the reds are tightly close together, there was the potential that we could have maybe a quick spin up, and that was just to the south of Fort Atkinson. Let's go back and we'll kind of play it out over here, and I'll show it to you. You see there was a little notch that was just near Fort Atkinson. It kind of seemed like it fizzled out just a little bit, but you see it right here as it was moving just south of the town of Fort Atkinson. As we head into the little bit of more time frame, I'm starting to see it doesn't look to be as concerning of a rotational couplet than what we were seeing just a few minutes ago. And actually, I was talking to the weather team saying, I'm surprised they haven't warned this yet. And sure enough, that is what has happened. So we're going to be taking a look at Johnson Creek. It's probably the I-94 camera. Taking a look at the roadway conditions right there. A little bit of some wet pavement that has, with those showers and thunderstorms that have been moving across, as we can clearly see right there. That storm itself will, there's Johnson Creek right there. So that's just to the north of that tornado warning. We'll pull it out a little bit. There is that severe thunderstorm warning that's embedded with this. So we've got two warnings, active warnings right now. We've got this tornado warning. That's until 7:30. Well, we're going to stop this. We're going to stop the loop right here. We're going to stop right there. There we go. We'll hit the X. Pause it right there. If it wants to pause, here we go. There we go. If we'd like to. All right. And if we continue on in with that line that's continuing to move eastward, this is really the big concern for the risk of a tornado. Further down to the south, I don't see much of a concern. Honestly, the winds have subsided drastically. Here, we'll loop it one more time for you so you can kind of see it with that line that has been moving eastward. And what we were dealing with, you can see those bright greens as it moved towards Janesville really started to fizzle out. So the strongest winds, the rotation was up towards Fort Atkinson, towards Whitewater. That's why we still have that tornado warning. Down to the south with this severe thunderstorm warning, this is that big box right here. That was just got updated. There is that severe thunderstorm warning, and that is moving off towards the east, this line of thunderstorms at about 20 miles per hour. So there's another look at Johnson Creek showing that wet pavement with that line of severe storms that's moving eastward at about 20 miles per hour. We've got more clusters of thunderstorms as well as they're continuing to push east. We did have a little rotation with this thunderstorm cluster. Right now, what I'm seeing, it's not as strong as what we were seeing earlier just minutes ago, thankfully speaking. So let's pause it once again. I want to actually take a look at some of our camera networks. We're going to click over here. Let's take a look at Delavan. Delavan's in that severe thunderstorm warning. A little bit of an ominous looking sky right here. There's actually the shelf cloud. So a lot of times when we see a shelf cloud, there tends to be some stronger winds that are pushing just on the underneath of this line of storms. So you can kind of look at that ominous look. It's currently 68. Let's take a look. How about let's go to Brookfield. Brookfield, they were dealing with a little bit some wet pavement. There it is, 65 degrees. They're not under that tornado warning, but clearly a lot of folks are dealing with some of these showers and thunderstorms right now. Let's go back to radar. Let's actually just clear out of this and bring it back to radar. There it is. So there's a radar. There's that little coupling. We actually was kind of cool. I want to show this to you. Almost looked like a little swirling rotation. Let's zoom it in, and we can actually see a little bit that was right around here. Let's go and let's click right there. Let's zoom it in. And I'll show it to you right there. So actually a little bit closer. Let's move it to the east. There we go. Okay. So you see this little dark kind of swirling rotation? That was some of that spinning in the atmosphere. That's that area that they issued that tornado warning. And it went right very near Fort Atkinson. Wouldn't be surprised. We haven't heard any confirmation of a tornado on the ground. This is a radar indicated tornado. No spotters have reported anything with this storm so far as it moves off towards the east. I would say the worst of the storm right now, the leading edge, probably lift up north. If you're living in Cold Springs right now, not dealing with the worst of it. But as we head towards Hebron, they're probably dealing with the worst right now. So if you're in Hebron, I hope you're taking your safe space right now away from windows and doors. You want to get into the lowest part of your house, preferably a basement, getting away from any windows. If you don't have a basement, get into the first floor. You want to get into the most center part of that house, that structure. Perhaps if you live in an apartment, get into the lowest part away from those exterior walls. There's that line that's continuing to move eastward. Let's zoom out a little bit, kind of get an idea, because that line that's continuing to move east, it's moving pretty quickly. There's Sullivan. That's where the National Weather Service office is as it's moving up towards the east. So I will be curious if the Weather Service issues another tornado warning. But based on kind of what I'm looking at here, the worst of the rotation that I was seeing was near Fort Atkinson and just north of Cold Springs. But now it's kind of starting to weaken just a little bit. That being said, tornado warning does continue in here for a little bit of time. So let's pause it. There's that tornado warning until 7:30. Right now we're at 7:19. You can see that leading edge of that line of thunderstorms that are moving to the northeast at about 20 miles per hour. Nothing too substantial, but let's go back. Let's take a look at the velocity signature. I want to take another look at scan over here. This is good news because I don't see anything that's too substantial with any types of couplets, what we were dealing with a couple minutes ago. We'll kind of take a little bit of a closer look. Let's kind of clear that out. Let's actually draw another kind of line just because we still have that warning. So there it is, going right down to the south and then kind of lifting up to the north and about 20 miles per hour. So if they issue another tornado warning, I mean, these locations, Dowsman, Ottawa, Sullivan, you folks are not under that tornado warning. But if that line, because the leading edge is right along that warning right now, if they add another warning, you folks are in it. And personally, better be safe. If you're in these locations right now, Dowsman at 744, Ottawa at 745, Wales at 758, get into your basement, get away from windows and doors, wait until this storm passes, put Weather Watch 12 on your cell phone and watch us while you're in the comfort of the safe part of your house, because sometimes you can get these quick little spin ups that can happen right along the leading edge of that line of thunderstorms. So let's clear all this out here. And there's that tornado warning. So let's zoom back out here. Let's take a wide look. What's happening? What's going on with all the other locations? Because not everyone's under this tornado warning. Perhaps you're watching in Sheboygan and you're saying, why are you interrupting my programming? It's because we have multiple counties in southeastern Wisconsin, and we want to keep everyone safe. If you have a tornado warning one day, we're going to break onto program. We're going to let you know what's the worst, what's happening in your neck of the woods. And because we've got this tornado warning right now for parts of Jefferson County and Walworth County, we're breaking into the air. We're keeping you safe until the worst risk of the storm has passed. Look at Johnson Creek right now. You can see a little bit of some wet pavement, but that warning is just to the south of that tornado warning. So at the moment, it looks to be just more moderate rain showers that are moving across the area. Mark Baden did join, put the mic on. Mark, you're all mic'd up?
I'm all mic'd up, buddy.
All right, cool, sweet. So we've got the whole team here this evening. You're just taking a look at some of the information. But yeah, from what I was seeing, Mark, looks like the rotation has weakened just a little bit.
Which is, yeah, absolutely great news.
Yeah.
I want to give you some things that since you're busy over at the wall, stay right there. But the National Weather Service will be expiring the tornado warning at 7:30. This will stay on your screen until 7:30. Again, this is pushing into areas of Jefferson County. Now, regardless of whether there's been a tornado, there's still some strong winds on this for sure. Incredibly heavy rainfall rates as well as this is pushing in. Moving pretty quickly, but that obviously is good news. And just like you were saying, Gino, is that we're not seeing that same amount of tight rotation that we saw earlier, and that's something that we'll be watching. I'm gonna jump in. I'm just gonna go for a minute. I'm gonna give it back to you at the wall here in a second, Gino.
If you guys want to switch over to a Lynx 1, because right now you got Lynx 2 on the screen. So if you want to switch over to Lynx 1,
Thank you.
For Mark to show the viewers what he is working on. That would be fantastic. And but right now what Mark's working on, you can see that line of thunderstorms that's moving eastward.
Yeah, if we can jump, thank you for jumping into links 2 here. That's what we're looking at right now. This is our second. We actually have numerous computers that we can work on here. And so we still have some of those reds and greens, and but again, nothing right now that's just jumping out saying we need to worry about this. This is literally going to go right over the National Weather Service at their site, which is located pretty much on the line between Waukesha County and Jefferson County. They're just south of Sullivan. You can actually see that little circle in the middle of your screen. If you're wondering what that is, that's kind of known as the cone of silence. There's an area where the radar is so low it doesn't necessarily pick up, but it still will as we see some of this moving in there. It's an area of concern, but we're not even seeing yet an additional issuance of a severe thunderstorm warning. I'll be curious if that will happen as well as we are continuing to watch this moving through. So we've got these areas that we've had this strong rotation. This is pushing in. It's moving through with some pretty strong winds as it makes its way into Jefferson County. It's almost into Waukesha County right now. Zoom in a little bit closer into those areas that are getting those stronger winds right now. And so we still have some strong winds. Southern portions of Jefferson County between Cold Spring and Hebron right now. This is heading into Palmyra. This will be working its way into Eagle as well. But at this point, no additional issuance of any kind of severe thunderstorm warning, which is great news. The severe thunderstorm warning itself, that goes until 7:30. The tornado warning, again, will be allowed to expire at the bottom of the hour. That goes until 7:30. And so these areas continue to be of concern, no doubt. It's also moving into areas that, in essence, have been worked over. What do I mean by that? They've had showers and thunderstorms in these areas, so there's not as much instability to play with as it works its way in there. Now, we're still getting the strong winds, but again, not looking nearly as powerful as it was earlier when we had, it almost looked like a bookend vortices. Sorry to be weird, but at the top of this, as this storm was kind of pushing itself out, we had a little bit of rotation that was happening through this, and I'll watch this as this was coming in. You could saw the brighter greens there for a while right next to the reds. No confirmation yet, though, that we've had any type of tornado. Thankfully, this is just radar indicated. And so that's, as you look at it in motion, again, that tornado warning continues until 7:30. I'll run a storm track on this, and we'll talk about those areas. All along this line, we're going to get some stronger winds in here. Moving to the northeast at about 30, into Sullivan pretty much right now in the next 5 to 10 minutes, into Ottawa at 7:41, Dousman at 7:43, into Wales at 7:50. The Nabobin Lakes area, upper and lower, you are also in the path of this as it pushes itself in. But good news here, no additional warnings, at least at this point. Watching to see, now they're just issuing a severe weather statement out ahead of this system, the area that was of the greatest concern. So that's good. We might make it to 7:30 and see all of these warnings drop off. I don't want you to let your guard down, but it is looking a little bit better, certainly than it was just a few minutes ago. Gino, this seems to be our thing. I'm at sporting events or things, and I come in. So it was a golf outing today for Neighborhood House, and so thankfully was close by as I was coming back through the area, and so hopped right on in here. It's kind of a tag team effort as we're doing these types of coverage. When we have tornado warnings, it's something that we take seriously here at Weather Watch 12, and so we want as many of our team as possible to be a part of this as this is moving in to make sure we've got you covered here in southeastern Wisconsin. That's what we do. So we're going to always do our best to keep you safe as all of these storms. It's been a busy spring. I feel like we've done this dance quite a bit. Thankfully, at this point, as these storms continue to move to the east, they're not showing nearly as much strength as they were earlier. There's not nearly as much wind on these as there was earlier. And so that is great news as it pushes its way now into Waukesha County, working its way through out of Jefferson County, everything moving to the northeast. And so, again, we'll watch that as it makes its way into through the eastern sections of Jefferson County and into western portions of Waukesha County. Certainly wouldn't be surprised to see some wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, and there's maybe a little bit of small hail, but the bigger issue here is definitely going to be the possibility of some stronger winds. But again, severe thunderstorm warning will be canceled in just a little bit, about 1 minute from right now. Same kind of story with that tornado warning. I'm going to bring it back out to you, Gino, and you can talk a little bit more about kind of the big picture of what's going on and what's been happening throughout the day. And let's also not forget the very, very heavy rain that's coming down here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've had a couple flood advisories. We had, was swung right back. Well, I don't know if it was me or you, but let me just let's bring it back home here. There we go. Unless you like looking at Pennsylvania for some reason, but here we go. We've got So we got this too. Hey, Mark and I. We work real well together. Here's the radar. There it is. So, I mean, we're laughing, but, the worst of the storm, thankfully, the tornado warning is going to be expiring here in about 10 seconds. There is that severe thunderstorm warning. Let's just show it on loop right here. What was interesting when I was on at the 6 o'clock newscast where we did have that first severe thunderstorm warning, that line was in Rock County. And we were getting some velocity, some wind speeds around 50, 55 miles per hour. This line has really fallen apart as it's moving into that more stable air mass. And as Mark was talking about with what the Weather Service is planning on doing, and there you go. The warnings have expired, so that is clearly some great news with this. So that line of storms continue. Will move eastward. If there's any new additional warnings that do pop up, we'll let you know. But for now, with Mark Baden, I'm Gino Recchia. We'll return you to local programming.